In graph 16.4, we showed that the core allocations for the two-person, two-good exchange economy are equal to the portion of the contract curve that lies in between the indifference curves which pass through the endowment allocation. We also indicated at the time that the concept of a core allocation becomes more complicated if there are more than two people in the economy. We also indicated that one of the important results in general equilibrium theory is that as the number of individuals on each side of the market increases, the set of core allocations decreases to the set of equilibrium allocations. We'll give some intuitions for this here. We begin with an indifference curve from the indifference map for individual 1, whose axes are the lower axes in the Edgeworth box. We then complete the Edgeworth box with a second indifference curve, an indifference curve for individual 2, whose axes are the upper axes in the box. And we place the endowment allocation at the upper intersection of these two indifference curves, leaving us with a shaded lens-shaped area that represents all those allocations preferred by both individuals to the endowment allocation. We then draw in the contract curve, the curve along which the indifference curves for the two individuals are tangent to one another, and the portion of the contract curve that goes from A to B, which represents the set of core allocations in the two-person exchange economy. Since allocation A lies on the contract curve, we know that the indifference curves for individuals 1 and 2 are tangent to one another at the allocation A. We then imagine replicating the economy, multiplying it by 2 in the sense that we'll now assume that we have 2 individual 1s and 2 individual 2s. We'll then ask whether the core allocation A can still be a core allocation in this replicated economy. And we'll do this by asking whether we can think of a coalition of individuals that would block this as an allocation. In other words, a coalition of individuals that can do better by taking their endowment and leaving the economy trading on their own. In particular, we'll think of the coalition of 2 individual 1s and 1 individual 2 trading along the line that passes from E through A. Suppose, for instance, that the 2 individual 1s propose to trade along that line with the 1 individual 2, allowing the 2 individual 1s to reach point C. The consumption bundle C is clearly better for the individual 1s than the consumption bundle A, since it lies above the indifference curve for individual 1s that passes through A. Since there is only 1 individual 2 in the coalition, but 2 individual 1s, it means that whatever happens to individual 2 in this trade is twice as much as would happen to the individual 1s. Thus, in the trade that gets individual 1s to bundle C, the individual 2 in the coalition gets all the way to bundle D, which is twice as far down the green line as bundle C. Bundle D is clearly better for individual 2 than bundle A, because bundle D lies above the indifference curve for individual 2 that passes through bundle A. This allows us to conclude that the allocation A, which was a core allocation in the two-person economy, is no longer a core allocation in the four-person economy that replicates the two-person economy we started with. In other words, once we increased the number of individuals on each side of the market, we were able to find a coalition that blocks A as a core allocation because it can do better on its own. The same thing is true for allocations that appear close to A within the initial set of core allocations. And so we can conclude that as we replicate the market, the set of core allocations shrinks.